transmigrating into a novel as the villainous side character, just to save my neck. I gritted my teeth and raised the Yandere female lead using my leftovers. I thought we'd go our separate ways once we grew up. Who knew that 10 years later, she'd ditch the Heroine University to stalk me to my college, pinning me against the wall for feeding me back then. How do you plan to repay me with your life? Dear God, I'm just trying to stay alive here.
The younger sister I bullied since childhood turned out to be the female lead of this world. To save my own miserable hide after growing up, I deliberately applied to a university far away to avoid her. Who would have thought we would bump into each other again at the freshman welcome party? She gripped my wrist tightly, her voice bordering on pure madness. Brother, why are you hiding from me? I had just transmigrated, my head still spinning a bit. The original owner's grandfather had bought him a small cake. He was thrilled and took it out to show off and tease the female lead. She threw a rock at him, smashing his head, and the little cake fell to the ground. Thus, the feud with the original owner was forged. Every time she saw him, she would rack her brains to torment him, bound and determined to exact her revenge. This lasted until she left for college, seeing her shine brilliantly while he was behind bars. He ended up falling for her and started relentlessly stalking her, trying to ruin her relationship with the male lead. He ultimately met a tragic end. Classic transmigration trope, original host acts like an idiot, gets wrecked, and now our guy has to clean up the mess. At this moment, I touched the spot where I was hit. Not bad, the lump was not too huge. That little wolf cub was standing not too far away, glaring at me viciously, looking like she was ready to pounce and snatch my stuff at any second. Come on. The way this brat looks right now practically screams, punch me. How is this considered bullying? Never mind. She is only 6 or so, even setting aside the fact that my 22-year-old soul could literally be her father. The original host is only 10 himself. I won't stoop to the level of a little kid. I silently picked up the cake. The frosting was unsalvageable, leaving only the golden sponge base. I pinched off the dusty parts, placed it on the boundary wall to feed her, called out to her, tapped the cake with my finger, and then turned around to head indoors. She was too filthy. I did not want any physical contact with her. I ducked inside the house and peeked through the window. Lin Kiwano clearly had not anticipated this plot twist. Who knew a squashed cake could be the ultimate olive branch for a psycho in training? Her fierce eyes went blank for a split second, before she lunged over like a starving beast, snatched the cake, and bolted. A few days later, Lin Kiwano started loitering around my door again. I swiftly dumped some leftovers into a large bowl, set it on the wall, did not even bother saying hello, and went straight back inside. I simply could not care less about her. I even pondered acting like the original host, grabbing a rock or stick to chase her away. The way those dark, brooding eyes stared at people gave off a seriously malicious vibe. Grandma could not help but ask me, why have not you chased that girl away these past couple of days? I scratched the back of my head and spouted some moral high ground. My teacher said we should help others. Besides, did not you and Grandpa mention that her dad just drinks and ignores her? And her own mother ran off. She is so pitiful. My grandmother affectionately patted my head, saying I had grown sensible, grown up my foot. I just wanted her to remember me. Ah! Yes, the feed the stray, so she does not murder me in 10 years survival strategy, a true classic. For this act of feeding her now, and then promptly forget about my existence in the future. A week passed peacefully. Just like that. I was in my room doing homework, when a sudden crash outside the window made me jump. The bowl I had previously left on the wall was smashed to pieces just 2 meters away from me. I gripped my pen as if I were strangling a dog's neck. That wretched brat. This was the 4th bowl. The first own never came back. The second vanished into thin air. The third was resting in the drainage ditch outside my house. And now the 4th was shattered on the ground, fulfilling its tragic destiny to return to the earth. Meanwhile, that little demon had long since vanished without a trace. I placed another bowl on the wall, and right next to it, I set down a piece of candy. Through the green, transparent plastic wrapper, you could clearly see the round sweet inside. I found a bamboo stick over 1 meter long and hid behind the lush evergreen bush. I felt like a mischievous kid setting a trap in the snow to catch sparrows. Bro thinks he is a master hunter, but he is literally just bribing a 6-year-old with candy. Buzzing with anticipation and thrill, as soon as she showed up, I was going to punish evil and uphold justice on behalf of the heavens. If I did not teach her a lesson, she would think my family's bowls just fell from the sky. I endured several mosquito bites before I finally spotted Lin Kiwano limping over, my brows furrowed. Was not she running like the wind this morning? How did she end up lame in just an hour or two? As she drew closer, I could finally see clearly. The thick layer of grime could not conceal the bleeding bruised lump on her forehead. When she saw the candy, her tiny frame jolted violently, her face washing over with a daze born of profound shock. She stood there staring for a long time, before slowly reaching out to take it, handling it with extreme caution as if it were a priceless treasure. My chest tightened. Was the female lead really this miserable in her childhood, Author really went all out on the tragic backstory, did not they? Cue the invisible violins. She did not even have a single piece of candy. Seeing her about to leave, I hurried out. Lin Kiwano was startled, stumbling backward in terror, her pitch-black eyes filled with sheer panic. Widened to their limits, her reaction caught me off guard too. Do not break my bowls. Put them back properly. Remember that. I dragged the bamboo stick past her. She stood frozen on the spot. After a brief hesitation, I fished the remaining candies from my pocket and offered them to her. She stood dumbfounded for a good while, then spun around and bolted, wrapping her feet as she swayed unsteadily, her bare soles stepping on the gravel-covered path. She did not even seem to feel the pain, and I even worried she might take a tumble during one of her shaky strides. Thankfully, she did not. I looked down at my palm. The classic tough guy with a soft heart routine is strong with this own, where a few candies lay quietly, their wrappers bright and vibrantly colored. I clenched my fist, deciding to give her another own next time. My grandparents returned before dinner, chatting about the village gossip. I heard that Lin Kiwano had been beaten by her father that morning, simply because he woke up sober and did not have hot water to drink. I recalled her bleeding forehead, her limping gait, and the few scars revealed when she reached for the candy. This meal felt a bit hard to swallow. Sometimes I felt like I was feeding a stray dog. Like right now, unable to spot Lin Kiwano. I tapped my chopsticks against a small aluminum basin. Why the upgrade to an aluminum basin? To spare my family's porcelain bowls, of course. Hearing the noise, Lin Kiwano soon appeared, gazing at me clearly from a short distance. A pair of pitch-black eyes shone exceptionally bright against her dirty, smudged face, wary, guarded, yet faintly expectant. That little look really tugged at the heartstrings. If this were an anime, her eyes would take up half her face right now to maximize the guilt trip. I silently placed a milk candy on the chopsticks, gave a nod as a greeting, and turned back indoors. I had fleetingly considered intercepting her while she was young, maybe trying for a pseudo-sibling grooming romance arc. After all, a brother is a brother, right? But on second thought, I scrapped the idea. I was not mentally ill. My parents ran a small business in the city, while I lived with my grandparents in a village near the town. After finishing elementary school, I would go to the city for junior high. Asked for Lin Kiwano, who was 3 years younger than me. She had just started elementary school this semester. Rumor had it that it was only because the teachers, while executing the compulsory education dropout prevention mandate, discovered a school-aged child not enrolled. They tracked her down to her home, forcing her drunkard father to send her to school. Her dad had not wanted to educate her because she was a girl. During the 7-day National Day holiday, I fed her for 7 days. Even though it was just leftovers, it was still warm and nutritious. From smashing my bowls, to tossing the aluminum basin and chopsticks back into my yard, to eventually washing the basin and chopsticks before putting them back in their proper place. She could be considered somewhat grateful, but the very next second I banished that thought, grateful my foot. That wretched girl snatched my steamed bun. Ah, the betrayal. Never trust a hungry future villainess around carbs. The lady boss handed it over, and just as I reached out to take it, she swiped it and bolted out of sight in a flash. I stared at the boss, and the boss stared back at me. I did not want to be the fall guy, so I silently fished out another $1 and bought a plain mantou instead. Buns were $1, mantis were 70 cents. Grandma had given me $2, so I had 30 cents left. That $1 was originally meant for buying a pen. Damned brat. On the first day back after the holiday, I returned to the classroom to collect homework and organize morning reading. The boys were being unruly, refusing to listen no matter how I called out to them. My fury over the stolen bun finally found a venting outlet. I slammed a book violently onto the teacher's desk. Bang! The sound, laced with my rage, echoed like thunder. The classroom instantly fell dead silent, everyone terrified. I glared coldly at the group of troublemaking boys, causing a ruckus, unleashing a 22-year-old's pent-up frustration on literal 10-year-olds. Truly a flawless victory. You little punks, you're here to read in the morning, not to fool around. Get back to your seats immediately. Perhaps my adult aura of intimidation broke through, because those 10-year-old cubs, despite looking defiant, quietly scurried back to their desks, amidst the sound of clear reading voices. Looking down at the naive fourth graders, I truly felt like I was in a surreal dream. I, a 22-year-old adult, was now a fourth grader. And the class monitor at that. I was practically invincible. By the second period's recess, I was actually leading the morning exercises. Could I be any more of a show-off? Luckily, I had the original host's memories. Otherwise, I would have made a colossal fool of myself. The exercise leader stood on an elevated spot, so I easily spotted the stage. Over on the left with the first graders, there was a grimy kid, looking like she would been dug out of a dumpster. She was being scolded by a teacher, standing ramrod straight, eyes glued to the floor, her left foot awkwardly rubbing against her right, looking utterly impervious to criticism. She is already mastering the in-on ear, out the other technique at age 6. Impressive. Just looking at her made my blood boil. We ate lunch at school, a free nutritional meal provided by the state. It was barely edible, just enough to keep you alive, and definitely could not be called delicious. But Lin Kiwano managed to wolf down 3 massive bowls, shoveling rice into her mouth like a reincarnated starving ghost. With every bite, she stuffed her cheeks to the brim, chewed twice, and forced it down. Watching her made my stomach tie into knots. In my past life, every girl around me grew up pampered and cherished. After school, I stayed behind to lock the door after sweeping, placed the key on the teacher's windowsill, and had just walked downstairs when several older boys carried Lin Kiwano and rushed past me like a gust of wind. I stood frozen for a moment, sighed, turned back upstairs, and knocked on the 6th grade teacher's door. I will just consider it doing a good deed. The teacher was frantic. Plot armor dictates the protagonist must intervene even when trying to avoid the female lead like the plague. I felt nothing. She was not going to die anyway. By the time we found her, Lin Kiwano had been tossed into a paddy field by the road, drenched to the bone. She sat in the corner of the field, looking tiny and desolate. My heart gave a painful twinge. The original host had witnessed this too back then, but merely let things play out, even mocking her mercilessly, splashing water and throwing mud at her. He only left after thoroughly bullying her. I walked to the edge of the field and offered my hand. The little mud figure sat motionless in the muck. Her eyes were bright yet freezing cold. At an age that should have been full of innocent wonder, right now, they were brimming with a dark, ruthless desire for mutual destruction. I paused to think, then handed her a piece of candy. Her eyes slowly shifted toward the sweet, her dark pupils contracting slightly, revealing a fleeting trace of grievance. Ah, the candy. The ultimate weapon against deep-seated psychological trauma. I urged her to come over, pushing my hand forward a bit, and after a long pause, she finally attempted to stand. The mud was heavy, as if trying to drag her tiny body down into the filth. Using both hands and feet, she stood up, then fell to her knees, stood up and knelt again until she finally managed to walk over to me. A hand thickly coated in black sludge, with not a speck of skin visible, reached out. I withdrew the candy, grabbed her hand and washed it in the water. It was incredibly thin and small. I felt a suffocating tightness in my chest. Let us wash the mud off first. The teacher standing nearby furrowed her brows, looking as if she had encountered the world's most massive inconvenience. Finally, she said to me, "Student, why do not you escort her home?" I replied flatly, "Teacher, you would better handle this yourself." Lin Kiwano's father is the village's notorious drunk. When he is wasted, he beats people at random. Good call, kid. No need to trigger a boss fight with the abusive NPC dad just yet. In the end, they contacted the parents of those 6th graders, forcing them to negotiate and take Lin Kiwano to get cleaned up, even dressing her in someone's old hand-me-downs. After all these days, I finally got a proper look at the female lead's face. An oval face, big eyes, and pale skin. Apart from being a bit scrawny, she was quite pretty, worthy of being the female lead. She trailed behind me, carrying someone else's old backpack. The oversized bottom of the bag nearly hung down to the back of her knees. The books inside were likely discarded copies from a 6th grade student. Her previous backpack had been pitch black, with a broken strap haphazardly tied into a knot, its zipper broken, gaping wide like a bloody maw, probably scavenged from some garbage dump. It had met its watery grave in the paddy field today. I stopped and turned to look at her. She halted, glaring at me coldly. "I do not like you. If you ever steal my bun again like you did this morning, I will definitely beat you up." Threatening a child who will one day have the power to ruin your life, bold strategy. Let us see how it plays out. Just try me. She raised her head, shot me a fierce glare, and dashed forward rapidly. I yelled after her candy. She skidded to a halt, spun around, charged back, snatched the candy, and ran off again. I could not help muttering, "Wretched brat." After getting home, Grandma asked why that little girl had not come by for days. I said I did not know. Perhaps my threat of beating her up made her hold a grudge. Tapping the basin no longer summoned anyone. The food left on the boundary wall remained untouched, swarmed by buzzing flies. Or maybe she was barely surviving on the school lunches, no longer needing the meals I provided. I figured I would wait 2 more days, and if she still did not eat, I would stop leaving it out. But I had forgotten one crucial detail. This was a redemption novel where the female lead did not just snap one day. She was born a psychopath. She twisted a cat's neck right in front of me. Well, that escalated quickly from stealing carbs to committing feline homicide on the village highway. A tractor was speeding by, carrying passengers. A tiny kitten could not dodge in time and was run over. coughing up fresh blood, its limbs twitching violently, unable to even let out a whimper. It was not going to make it. Lin Kiwano was standing just 2 meters away from the poor creature, witnessing the gruesome scene. I was a few meters behind her. She stood frozen for a long while, then slowly walked over and picked the cat up by its ears. The kitten was still struggling and twitching, though its movements were fading. I thought she would move it to the side of the road, maybe pet it and offer some comfort. I was dead wrong. With own hand gripping the cat's head, and the other wrapping around its neck, she gave a vicious twist. A chilling draft swept across the back of my own neck, every hair on my body standing on end, my scalp tingling with dread. I took a step back. She turned to look at me, her gaze utterly apathetic, void of even a trace of human emotion. She looked like a demon, yet simultaneously like an ethereal being. Note to self: cancel the pseudo-sibling romance arc permanently. Do not engage. She did not move, and I did not dare to either. The autumn breeze carried a chill that froze me inch by inch, until another motorcycle roared past, and the laughter of students drifted closer from afar. Only then did I feel anchored back in the mortal realm. She finally moved too, slowly gathering the lifeless kitten into her arms, and stepping onto a narrow dirt path bordering someone's field. I hesitated for a moment before following her. I was terrified she might go completely deranged and roast the cat for a meal, but she did not. Reaching a small grove of trees, she used branches to dig a hole, placed the cat inside, buried it, and covered the mound with a pile of dead leaves. Staring at her tiny silhouette, I suddenly grasped the motive behind her lethal mercy strike. Rather than letting it die in agonizing pain, it was better to end it swiftly. A quick end is better than prolonged suffering. But she was not even 7 years old yet. I genuinely could not fathom what kind of hellish life she had endured to forge such ruthlessness at her tender age. It takes a special kind of childhood trauma to make mercy killing a 6-year-old's default problem-solving method. I pulled out a lunchbox with a lid from my backpack. Come here. This was from when I caught a cold in 3rd grade and could not eat. My grandma bought me kanji, Lin Kiwano. This lunchbox is for you. After eating lunch, pack another bowl to take home. Remember to tell your teacher. She turned around and stared blankly at me, her eyes like a pool of stagnant, freezing water in a snowy wasteland, radiating only a silent, bone-chilling aura. Seeing her stand frozen, I raised my voice. Come take it. She slowly got up and walked over, planting herself in front of me without moving a muscle. I leaned down, reached past her shoulder, unzipped her bag, and stuffed the lunchbox inside. She already smelled sour again. I wrinkled my nose. You are a girl. You need to change your clothes and bathe regularly. I do not have clothes. I choked up, pondering for a moment, then took her hand. This hand was incredibly dark and filthy. I sighed inwardly and continued, you have to wash your face when you wake up in the morning.
Come home with me.
Ah, yes, the classic kidnapping the female lead for a makeover trope. Never fails. After dragging her home, I explained my idea to my grandparents. They dug out my old childhood clothes, packed them in a bag, and gave them to her. Then I carried a wash basin out to the perimeter wall, making her watch carefully as she learned how to soak clothes in detergent. Count from 1 to 100, then stomp on them once. Scrub them once with your hands. Wring them out, change the water, and rinse them 3 times. Then hang them up with a hanger. Got it, she nodded. My grandparents finished cooking and asked her to stay for a meal. She shook her head in refusal. I piled some food into her small aluminum basin, added rice, and handed it to her. Only then did she take it, squatting by the door and wolfing it down. They say some people spend their whole lives healing from their childhood. With Lin Kiwano's miserable childhood, she would need several lifetimes to recover. Her family was officially classified as impoverished. Her father just took that meager subsidy to drink and gamble, father of the year right here. Truly a shining beacon of parenting, leaving her to fend for herself, without food or a dad who cared, spending all day stuffing his own face while ignoring his family. Lin Kiwano would scavenge for scraps when hungry. If she could not find anything, she would steal. If she got caught and dragged to her dad, he would mercilessly beat and kick her without a second thought. Even though she was a girl, because she was a girl. Just like right now, I leaned against the wall, listening to the loud, rhythmic thuds echoing down the corridor. If you did not know any better, you would think someone was taking advantage of the sunny weather to air out their cotton quilts, whacking them with a hanger to make them fluffy. The reality was, someone was being beaten. A tiny child was being ruthlessly pummeled by her father's fists, slapped and violently kicked. Every single thud of a blow landing on her body slammed heavily into my heart. The school toilets were not located on every floor. They were situated at the edge of the playground. As I went downstairs to use the restroom, I happened to see her get kicked flying into the air. Physics has officially left the chat. Kicked from a doorway to a balcony is her dad, Bruce Lee, soaring from the classroom door to the balcony wall, like a rag doll casually tossed out of a house. She sat there, utterly powerless to fight back. I swiftly ducked behind a pillar, not wanting her to spot me. A teacher tried to persuade the drunkard. You can't beat a child like this." Her dad spat back. "If she steals, she deserves to be beaten. Beat her enough and she won't dare steal again." What did she steal? She stole someone else's hanger and detergent. I had taught her how to wash clothes. She was obedient and had washed them, but she had no detergent or hangers at home. I clenched my fists tightly, my nails digging into my flesh. The pain forced me to stay rational. I could not just rush out and beat the living daylights out of that scum. So when he finally left and reached the staircase, I spotted him. I charged forward forcefully and slammed right into his back. The stench of filth and alcohol almost made me gag. He hit the ground and I fell too. I hastily scrambled to my feet, ducked my head, and apologized profusely. "Oh, it is Uncle Lin. I am so sorry, Uncle Lin. I did not mean it. Oscar-worthy performance right here. Give this kid a golden statuette." I was rushing to the bathroom and did not look where I was going. "I am so sorry." Uncle Lin shot me a dirty look. "Just go. Quickly." "Okay, thank you, Uncle Lin." I sprinted toward the restroom. After school, I sorted through the hangers at home, picking out the misshapen and peeling ones. I also poured half a bag of detergent into a plastic water bottle. I placed them on the perimeter wall and tapped the aluminum basin. Lin Kiwano peeked her head out from behind a neighbor's wall. I pointed at the items. "Take these home." She dawdled over. Her hair looked like it had been washed, though it still had that malnourished, dull yellow hue. It looked quite fresh. She had changed her clothes into a set of boys' clothing, and she no longer smelled bad. It was just that some spots had not been washed clean. I pointed at her ears, her back, and her entire neck. "When you wash your face and take a bath, you have to clean these areas too." She gave a faint nod. I handed her another candy and asked softly, "Does your body hurt?" The little kid's hand froze as she took the candy. She stiffly shook her head. Clutching the candy, she stood ramrod straight with lowered eyelids. This was not her being stubborn and impervious to reason. It is called survival mode, bro. She is calculating how many calories this candy will give her. It was clearly the fierce tenacity of struggling to stay alive. I reached out and ruffled her hair, my voice involuntarily softening. "Things will get better. They will definitely get better. Your birth mother will come to pick you up. Your stepdad will treat you very well. And you will have a brother who takes great care of you. And you will fall in love with him." Lin Kiwano looked at me silently, her gaze dim and unreadable. Every morning when going to school, no matter how early I woke up, my grandma was always earlier. She would have breakfast ready and tell me to eat first, saying I could read a bit after eating. Just as I slung my backpack on, my grandma handed me a plastic bag. Inside were 2 dusty-looking sweet potatoes, roasted in the stove's ashes from the night before. "Give these to that little girl." I called Lin Kiwano over and reminded her to say thank you. She stayed silent, refusing to speak. Grandma lovingly patted her head. "No need, no need.
It is just a few cheap sweet potatoes.
Eat till you're full so you have energy for school." I did not hold much hope for her either, tugging her clothes to lead her out. "Thank you." A wild thank you appears. It is super effective. The voice was as quiet as a mosquito's hum. I almost thought I was hallucinating. I patted her head. "Good job. Let us go?" Once at school, I headed to the 2nd floor, and she went to the 1st floor. After the recess exercises, she was standing at her classroom door again. The teacher fiercely and impatiently interrogated her. "Why did not you do your homework?" She stood there in silence, like a wooden stump. "If you do not sit down, I'm calling your father." This threat should have carried immense weight. Yet Lin Kiwano did not react at all. I had not planned on interfering, nor did I have some system forcing me to care. Perhaps deep down, I'm just a saint. I figured I should at least teach her how to feed herself first. So, after school, seeing my grandma planting cabbages, I tapped the aluminum basin with chopsticks, calling Lin Kiwano over to make her learn. The little girl wore a rare look of bewilderment. I looked at her and said, "Once you learn, go back and plant them. Feed yourself. Stop stealing food." She watched intently until the end. I handed her a bowl of rice and pressed half a packet of cabbage seeds into her hand. The give a man a fish proverb in action, except it is a 6-year-old learning agriculture. "Go back and scatter these in your field. If you do not know how, come ask." Watching her walk away, I could not hold back and shouted, "Remember to do your homework." Lin Kiwano and I developed a tacit understanding. In the mornings, she would come to my house to grab a quick bite of breakfast and trail behind me to school. After school, she would wait for me and follow me home. Some classmates teased me for having a little tail. I ignored them. Other boys and girls mocked her for being a copycat tag-along, but she did not react. Yet, when someone threw mud at her, she charged at them like a maniac, pinning a kid half a head taller than her to the ground. I struggled to pull her off and scolded her, but she just looked at me and said, "Your clothes can't get dirty." I helplessly patted her, wiping the mud off her outfit. "If clothes get dirty, we just wash them. But if you get hurt, It will be painful to prevent her from getting bullied by the older kids. I had her sit outside her teacher's office to do her homework, and I would pick her up after school. Everyone started harvesting sweet potatoes. I was out in the fields too, helping my grandparents dig them out. Child labor is totally fine as long as it is for sweet potatoes, apparently. My job was to shake the dirt off the potatoes and pull off the roots, spotting Lin Kiwano standing motionless in the distance. Gazing this way with numb, chilling eyes, an idea suddenly struck me. "Grandma, I'm heading over for a bit." I found a small rice sack and handed it to Lin Kiwano, telling her to bring the sack and find me in a moment. Seeing me walk away, she immediately tried to follow. I pushed her back, pressing her shoulders and instructing, "You stand right here. Count to 100 before coming over. Bring the sack too." Did you hear me? My grandparents asked where I had gone. I told them I saw Lin Kiwano and told her to go get a sack to help us carry some sweet potatoes later, and we would give her a few. Lin Kiwano arrived holding the sack. Such a tiny kid, solemnly holding up a sack. That obscured more than half her body. My heart suddenly ached a little. She probably thought what I had entrusted to her was a matter of grave importance. Hence her serious and formal posture. I shouted exceptionally loud, "Kiwano is here," acting loud so the grandparents play along. Kids got emotional intelligence. Hurry up and help us sort these out. Once we are done, you can pick a few sweet potatoes to take home. My grandparents exchanged a glance and loudly chimed in.
Come on, little girl. Help out.
We will help you carry them back later. She froze, looking stunned. Perhaps. This was the very first time she had received this kind of goodwill. Not condescending charity, nor dismissive handouts. She stared at me, and I yelled at her, "Hurry up. It is going to get dark soon." She worked incredibly hard, moving with great speed, and being very meticulous. Seeing her tiny frame crouched in the dirt was somewhat heartbreaking. Some time passed, and the cabbages sprouted, turning into a lush green patch. Copying others, Lin Kiwano gathered many wooden sticks to fence in her little vegetable plot, preventing neighbors' chickens and ducks from ruining it. A few days prior, she watched Uncle Chen planting cauliflower, and Uncle Chen gave her a few seedlings. My grandma had me bring her some radish sprouts and cabbage seedlings. "Your baby cabbages are growing really well." I walked a circle around the plot, offering genuine praise. The female lead's touch must be the legendary golden finger cheat, right? Even in farming, plot armor ensures her cabbages are top tier. Typical. She excels at everything she tries. "Let me pull out a handful for you." She was about to step inside without a second thought. I grabbed her and pulled her back. "Do not." I handed her the seedlings. "My grandma told me to bring these. Plant them as soon as possible." She hesitated, seemingly wanting to say something but finding it difficult to voice. I rested my hands on my knees, half squatting, and asked her, "How many sweet potatoes do you have left?" "3 large sacks. In a few days, I will bring you 10 pounds of rice. By then, more or less, others will probably follow suit and help out too. Clean up your house and find a place to store the rice." She nodded gently, then suddenly spun around and bolted toward her house, turning back while running to yell, "I will fetch you some water." A 6 or 7-year-old child, mimicking adults in how to treat guests and return favors. I did not know whether to feel sorrowful or gratified. My heart felt heavy. She brought the water. The small porcelain bowl was spotlessly clean, and the water was crystal clear. I washed it. She rubbed her fingers together. I washed the water vat and the bowl. I gave her fluffy head 2 encouraging pats. Head pats, the universal currency for taming feral transmigration protagonists. "You did a great job." It turned out she was explaining in a low voice, because I was holding the water without drinking it, and she feared I found it dirty. I drank the water and handed the bowl back. "It is winter now. Remember to boil water before drinking, or you will easily catch a cold." She nodded. Just then, a man staggered out of the house doorway, looking scruffy and sleazy. Before I could even react, Lin Kiwano instantly spun around, her tiny body slightly spreading its arms in a protective stance. I was instantly shaken to the core, so fragile, so terrified, yet so courageous. "Uncle Lin, my grandma asked me to bring you some vegetable seedlings. I will be heading back now." I patted Lin Kiwano's shoulder. "Be careful, do not provoke him." Then I left, but to my surprise the next day, Lin Kiwano's teacher called me into the office, saying Lin Kiwano had gotten into a fight and demanding I discipline her. I was utterly baffled. "Teacher, I am not Lin Kiwano's legal guardian. I am under no obligation to stand here and listen to your lecture." Spitting facts. Bro is not getting paid to be a surrogate parent. The teacher choked up immediately. "But you want to change her. You want to see her improve too? That teacher is your compassion and professional duty. But those should not be transferred on to me. I am not related to her. I am just an older brother from the same village, who happens to know her." I walked out of the office. Lin Kiwano was standing at the door like an abandoned puppy, looking both wronged and furious, her fists clenched tight as she glared fiercely at me. I slapped a palm onto her head. I treat you well, because I am kind-hearted, but I am not your mother. Some things are simply not my responsibility. I turned around and started to walk away. That wretched brat actually dared to be angry. I have not even unleashed my anger yet, getting scolded out of nowhere. Being told I failed as an older brother to manage my sister, I could not swallow that anger. I marched back and smacked her firmly on the back. Why were you fighting? What kind of fight requires you to smash someone's head into a wall? You were way too vicious. If the teacher calls your dad here, would not he beat you to death? Go apologize to your classmate right now, or do not ever speak to me again. Lin Kiwano shot me a fleeting glance, and shot into the office like a cannonball. With a heavy thud, she dropped to her knees before that little boy. Kneeling, she skipped sorry and went straight to imperial submission. Culturally confused or just hardcore. Her voice ringing out loud, "I'm sorry." I was speechless, and the teachers in the office were equally dumbfounded. The sobbing little boy was scared half to death, his mouth hanging wide open, forgetting to cry. My eyes suddenly stung with unshed tears. This kid, did she genuinely think apologizing meant you had to kneel? On the way back, I lectured her endlessly. Apologizing is mainly about recognizing your mistake and saying, "I'm sorry" sincerely. Plus, you have to correct your mistake. Otherwise, saying sorry is meaningless. No matter what, you cannot kneel easily. Unless it is something incredibly important, or a situation where you absolutely have to kneel. While I was babbling away, the kid's bright eyes curved into little crescent moons, her face radiating pure joy. How bizarre getting lectured but acting so thrilled. During the final exam review period, I accidentally spotted an 18-point Chinese exam paper. I was shocked beyond words. The female lead's character setting was a top scholar, and she got an 18 in Chinese. The book did not write much about the female lead's childhood. It was mostly mentioned during college when the male supporting characters pestered her, through dialogues and her own flashbacks, asked for whether the female lead scored an 18 in first grade. There was no way to know. Even geniuses have to start somewhere. But in 18, did she just spell her name and give up? I peeled my eyes off the crumpled test paper and began to write. Seeing her doing her homework with her back to me, secretly trying to peek at me from the corner of her eye, I said, "Lin Kiwano, where's your math paper?" She paused, dragged her feet, and pulled another crumpled paper from her backpack, handing it over. Although the red marks for wrong answers were glaringly obvious. An 83. Not bad, just unevenly balanced subjects, with only 2 weeks left until finals. Last-minute cramming would not accomplish much. I taught her how to organize her school bag, and made her spend the weekend at my house redoing all the test papers she could find, in a notebook. I explained the ones she did not know. I thought I was just patching a small hole in the sky, but it turned out I was trying to fill the ocean with pebbles. She did not understand this, and she did not understand that. She could not do this, and she could not do that. I finally experienced the sheer agony of being a teacher. There was no hope for the finals. We will do makeup lessons during the winter break. After the exams, I had her bring her Chinese and math textbooks over. I taught her from the very beginning. My grandparents chuckled. Little Hui has become a teacher. So impressive. Impressive or not, I kept my mouth shut. This student was genuinely a nightmare to teach. When the final grades came out, I scored 98 in Chinese, 100 in math, and 99 in English. Kiwano got a 45 in Chinese and an 85 in math. I gritted my teeth, the true transmigration trial, elementary school tutoring, harder than fighting any villain, mustered my courage and took on the heavy burden of tutoring her. I do not know if something clicked in her brain or what, but Kiwano learned remarkably fast. Aside from occasionally being hopelessly dense in Chinese, she practically grasped everything else the moment I taught it. My parents came back to take me to the city for fun, bringing back the workbooks I had asked for, reference books, and calligraphy copybooks. I left a mountain of homework for Lin Kiwano, ensuring her winter break would be packed to the brim. As I was leaving, she looked at me with eager eyes, her big eyes filled with reluctance to part. I patted her head.
"I will be back soon."
"I will bring you candy and toys when I return." "I should be back right around the time you finish your workbooks." Honestly, I could have chosen not to go, but the original host seemingly spent every winter and summer break with his parents for a while. I could not be the exception. During the Lunar New Year, I brought Lin Kiwano 2 boxes of Snap Pops, 2 boxes of spinning toy tops, and a pair of shoes. I bought these using my own pocket money and the reward money from my parents. I specifically emphasized that I hoped she would remember all my kindness, so that when we met in the future, we could share a knowing smile. Still desperately securing that "please do not murder me" insurance policy for the future. Instead of her wanting to murder me, she held the shoebox without reacting for a long time. I leaned down to look at her. Lin Kiwano's eyes were flush red, tears swirling in her eye sockets. And her nose was cherry red too. Seeing Lin Kiwano looking like this made my own heart feel tight and blocked. My throat choked up. I reached out, patted her head, and rubbed it. Her hair was very clean now. Shiny, smooth, and fluffy. It had grown quite a bit longer. "Happy New Year, Lin Kiwano." She pressed pressed her lips tightly together before looking up at me. Crystal, clear, teardrops rolled from her red-rimmed eyes, dangling precariously from her cheeks. Thank you, brother. Happy New Year, brother. If colors could describe a person's mood, my mood right now was a blank canvas splattered with chaotic paint, a total mess. Bitter and angry at her pitiful circumstances, saddened and sympathetic because of her tears, satisfied and proud that she had learned to take care of herself, and joyful because she called me brother. For once, Lin Kiwano's father managed to stay sober for a day during the new year. He cooked, pasted spring couplets, paid respects to the ancestors, set off firecrackers, and then got drunk all over again. A brief glimmer of humanity before returning to default trash mode. I took Lin Kiwano and my uncle's daughter, joining a massive horde of village kids, carrying red lanterns to go door to door for New Year greetings. When we returned, my pockets were stuffed with delicious treats and loose change from lucky money. I stuffed all the money and snacks into Lin Kiwano's pockets. For you, go home and have a bountiful New Year. She looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. Brother, I nudged her. Go on, hurry, it is too late now. Remember to wear your new clothes tomorrow, put on your new shoes, and start a new journey. Lin Kiwano walked away, looking back over her shoulder every 3 steps. The next day, the first day of the Lunar New Year, Lin Kiwano did not wear her new shoes. She said she could not bear to wear them out. A whole semester passed. The footwear on her feet went from own pair of tattered shoes to another pair of worn-out ones. I never saw her wear the new shoes even once. This semester, she scored 100 on both subjects. That kept me swollen with pride for quite a while. All my efforts of making her recite text on the way to and from school did not go to waste. He has basically become a stage mom. The proud dad energy is off the charts. Having her memorize ancient poems and tutoring her in math on weekends paid off. She had grown quite a bit taller. In 2nd grade, she even became the class monitor. By this time, Lin Kiwano gave off the vibe of a resilient, independent, impoverished student. She wore old clothes and worn shoes, but they were always spotless, with her hair tied in a high ponytail, her back straight, looking dead ahead. Her face remained expressionless, but she carried herself with quiet dignity. She truly embodied the feeling of a self-reliant child, striving tirelessly despite a poverty-stricken family. If they ever needed a poster child for a public service announcement, she would be the perfect candidate. And was not it the truth? She had to grow vegetables to feed herself, run around doing odd jobs to earn grain, and ensure her studies did not fall behind. The neighbors were tolerant and kind-hearted, always willing to call her over to help with small tasks, and rewarding her with some rice noodles or vegetables, preserving her dignity. While letting her live with her head held high, she managed to scrape by and survive. As long as she dodged her father, everything was fine. She grew older and could run much faster, dodging him most of the time, leveling up her evasion stats just to survive her dad. Dark but effective. Even when occasionally caught, she could find a chance to slip away and run to my house, where I would dab iodine on her wounds. When finals came, she arrived with a face full of joy, clutching an award certificate. I picked her up and spun her around a few times. This was not just her certificate. This was my ultimate teaching achievement, failing regular quizzes, but dropping the ultimate bomb on the finals. I had asked her why her regular grades were so abysmal. She said she could not understand what the teacher taught, but she understood everything her brother taught her. Fair enough. Clearly, I possess a natural gift for teaching. When she was in 3rd grade, Lin Kiwano's teacher ran into me and mentioned that Lin Kiwano had written an essay titled My Brother. He said he knew instantly it was about me and found it incredibly moving. It made him cry. He originally wanted to read it aloud in class as a model essay, but Lin Kiwano suddenly dashed to the podium, begging him not to read it. He had no choice but to drop the idea. He ended up praising me relentlessly. The classic protagonist accidentally becomes a local hero subplot. We love to see it, calling me kind-hearted, eager to help others, and saying I had a limitless future ahead. He even claimed he learned a lot from me, saying that helping someone does not just mean pulling them out of the mud. It means teaching them how to wash off the grime and showing them how to avoid falling back into the mud. My own teacher praised me. Teachers from other classes praised me, and even the principal praised me. Thanks to this essay, I was named a 3-good student in my 6th grade year. One of the cited deeds was my willingness to help others, helping a younger student step out of the shadows of domestic abuse, assisting her in gaining support from the village neighbors, and helping her fall in love with learning to achieve excellent grades. I had never imagined that my actions appeared so monumental in the eyes of others. I thought that as long as I waited for her biological mother to pick her up, everything would be perfectly fine, but tragedy still struck. I never anticipated her father could be this psychotic. In the dead of night, amidst the utter silence, the harsh ping-pang sounds of someone being beaten were genuinely bone-chilling. I heard Auntie Wang, who lived near Lin Kiwano, screaming,
Lin Jackfruit, you brainless bastard.
"If you hit her again, you're going to beat your own daughter to death." By the time people hastily threw on their coats and rushed over, Where are the police in this village? Guess plot convenience dictates vigilante neighborhood watch. Lin Kiwano was strung up from the ceiling beam by her bound hands, her head drooping, already knocked unconscious. I paced back and forth like a caged lion. What breed of absolute scum was Lin Jackfruit? The weather was already freezing cold. She was a girl, a 10-year-old girl, suspended there, tortured like this by her own flesh and blood. How much despair must she have felt? When she passed out, did she think she was finally free? Fuck. Several uncles carefully lowered Lin Kiwano down. I quickly wrapped the thick coat I had grabbed around her. Her body was freezing cold, her pale skin covered in fresh and old wounds. Battered and scarred, I knew she would not die, but my heart ached terribly, twisting with pain. Today was the 28th of the 12th lunar month. The Lunar New Year was the day after tomorrow. Other kids were receiving all kinds of special treatment at home, even if they were naughty. They were let off the hook with the excuse, it is the New Year. Yet Lin Kiwano, right before the New Year, was beaten black and blue by her own father. Lin Kiwano was rushed to the hospital. She had 2 broken ribs and mild internal bleeding. What a horrifying piece of garbage Lin Jackfruit was. It made my blood boil. Nobody went to the hospital to look after Lin Kiwano. Strangely enough, Lin Jackfruit had no relatives in the village. I suppose that is just part of the female lead's tragic origin story. Ah, the orphan by plot syndrome. The author really wanted 0 safety nets for her. My grandpa mentioned that several families pooled money together to help. A relative of ours in the village was looking after her daughter-in-law doing postnatal confinement in the county town. So she dropped off meals for Lin Kiwano along the way. I went to visit her on New Year's Eve. The little kid sat blankly on the hospital bed, looking like an empty shell devoid of a soul. A wave of suffocating pain hit my chest. I walked up to her. Kiwano. She looked up, her eyes carrying that familiar cold intensity once again. I gently hugged her. It is over. It is over now. Everything will be okay. She could not be discharged for the new year. I bought her new clothes, new shoes, and snacks, and even gave her a red envelope for lucky money. When I left, the kid kept a wooden expression on her face and simply said, "Thank you." Not long after, Lin Kiwano was taken away by her mother. That was great. She was escaping that hellhole and walking toward a new life. Lin Kiwano, I hope that when we meet again, you will have found your happiness. Fast forward to a new semester 10 years later. The same old-fashioned opening ceremony. The same old-fashioned scorching sun. The freshmen sat up perfectly straight, their faces beaming with excitement and thrill, covered in sweat. Their faces flushed red from the sun, but they remained full of energy. Freshmen are so naive. Give them 2 weeks, they will be skipping 8 AMs like the rest of us. The upperclassmen, on the other hand, looked like wilted eggplants battered by frost. They're lethargic, half dead. Faces full of resentment, radiating pure impatience. My roommates and I were cursing the blistering sun, the roasting heat, the university leaders who insisted on holding the ceremony at 9 AM, and the host who had just ordered everyone not to use umbrellas. Hello, everyone. I am the freshman representative, Lin Kiwano. A female voice, refreshing as a cool mountain spring in a secluded forest, abruptly entered my ears. My brain short-circuited. Lin Kiwano, unbelievable. I snapped my head toward the podium. The speaker was practically glowing in the sunlight. Lin Kiwano. Should not she be at Jingbei University with the male lead? This is Kunnan University, and I am a junior. Should not she be in her senior year of high school? Just someone with the same first and last name, right? But it was not just a coincidence. It was the Lin Kiwano plot twist. The butterfly effect ruined the canonical timeline. Good job, bro. Whether in the classroom or the dorm, it was not just once. That photos, videos, and rumors about her were circulated. The little girl had blossomed into an elegant young woman. Every frown and smile was gentle and poised. Every gesture was graceful and natural. Yet her eyes still held that lingering, tranquil coldness. All that gloom and ferocity seemed to have been tucked away behind her serene, aloof facade, as if ready to expose subtle hints. In a fleeting moment, countless guys were going crazy over her. The campus forum was plastered with her photos and videos, and even various fan fictions sprang up like bamboo shoots after a spring rain. When she arrived, listening to my roommates' discussions, I realized something. Like a deity returning from a mortal trial, Lin Kiwano had reclaimed her rightful throne as the female lead. She was the center of attention, the bright moon in the night sky, cold as frost, untouchable and unreachable. But she did not recognize me anymore. We bumped into each other while getting food at the cafeteria. She was walking straight toward me. Just as I was agonizing over whether to say hi, she brushed right past me, looking straight ahead. My heart instantly deflated, and I cast aside all my previous inner turmoil. Ouch. The I fed you for years and you ghosted me reality check hurts. Does not it? I merely gave her leftovers for a few days and tutored her for a short while. Why would that make me memorable enough for someone to keep in their heart? I was flattering myself. So after finishing my hosting duties at the welcome party and stepping down, she went on stage to perform, and I stared straight ahead, brushing past her without a glance. Thanks to a flawless piano and vocal performance, Lin Kiwano's fame in school skyrocketed. I thought brushing past each other like strangers would be our final ending, but the head of our dorm organized a mixer between our boys' dorm and a girls' dorm. We dressed up, thinking we looked incredibly handsome, arriving at our table in the buffet restaurant. Seeing that pure, slender girl made me freeze in my tracks. Lin Kiwano, the Lin Kiwano I knew what is wrong. Mesmerized by her beauty, I shook my head. The campus goddess, right? How did you manage this? Had to pull a lot of strings to get them here. I remained non-committal. When we pushed the door open and walked in, the girls looked up and saw us, flashes of admiration passing through their eyes. Lin Kiwano merely swept a glance over us and lowered her head, showing no emotion. Seeing me brought no surprise. She is either acting aloof or genuinely blind. Let us see which trope the author pulls, nor anything else. Perhaps in her eyes, I was just a stranger. Fine. We would not bother each other. That guy Kisalak immediately positioned himself directly across from Lin Kiwano. Hi everyone, I am Kisalak. This is Wong Mangosteen, and this is Gufei Joa. I faced a girl with long, straight black hair, offering a slightly shy smile. The other roommates also took their spots. The girls all had different auras, and their looks were top tier, but Lin Kiwano stood out the most. I stole a glance at Lin Kiwano's expression, expecting some sort of change when she heard my name, but she remained as serene and aloof as ever. I stopped caring and just observed the girl sitting across from me. Catching my eye, she gave a shy smile, and I responded with a warm Owen. Crash! I looked toward the sound. The glass in front of Lin Kiwano had tipped over, spilling water all over the table. The people around her scrambled in a flurry, pulling tissues to help her wipe the table. Kisalak even asked with deep concern if her clothes got wet. Lin Kiwano shook her head. Her drifting gaze met mine. I gave her a polite nod and looked away. Once the minor accident was handled, the tactical water spill. Classic female lead move to assert dominance or break up a moment. The girls started their introductions. Hello, seniors. This is Lin Kiwano. I am Shu Yuzu. This is Xie Quince. We shook hands and sat down. My phone suddenly buzzed. Wang Mangosteen tagged Kisalak. I want to swap girls with you. You can't handle her.
Let me swap. Come on, swap with me.
The roommates started buzzing with discussion. I silently locked my screen when I came back from the bathroom. The person sitting across from me had been swapped to Lin Kiwano. I looked at Lin Kiwano, then looked at the others. What the hell? These animals actually pulled a musical chairs routine right in the open. I stared at Lin Kiwano across from me. She was looking down, eating. Her bangs covered her forehead, and her eyelashes were long and thick. Fluttering slightly, she radiated an overwhelming aura of a sweet, well-behaved good girl. Is not this a bit weird? Just a moment ago, she was cold and distant, making people feel she was unapproachable. And now she looks so docile and easy to bully. Wretched brat. Did she major in the ancient art of face-changing during these 10 years? I could not shake the feeling she was up to no good. 10 years later, and he still views her as a feral child trying to steal his steamed bun. Peak character consistency. What kind of stunt was she pulling? I did not say a word, just kept my head down and focused on eating. My phone buzzed. Someone tagged me. The little junior has looked at you multiple times. The more she looks, the more wronged she seems. Her eyes are getting red. The least you could do is look up at her. Say a few words to her. You scumbag. I looked up at Lin Kiwano. She buried her head even lower, revealing only her delicate nose bridge, the tip of which was slightly red, as if she had been crying. I caught a fleeting glimpse of her reddened eyes, looking like an abandoned, pitiful little creature. Acting incredibly aggrieved, I was profoundly shaken. This was not the Lin Kiwano I knew. When she was a kid, she was cold and vicious. Even her grievances and misery were restrained and suppressed, giving off a sense of fierce stubbornness. So I guess the male lead trained her well. Bro is gaslighting himself into thinking she is not totally obsessed with him. The denial is strong. Now she is acting like this perfectly obedient, pure and innocent young girl. I am just a male supporting character. Know your place. I pursed my lips and chose to keep eating. Yep. I am a cold-hearted scumbag, stay away from the female lead and march toward a beautiful tomorrow. So after the meal, I just waved and said, bye-bye, brother. Lin Kiwano took a half step forward, her eyes carefully revealing a hint of anticipation. Although she was acting cautiously, her intentions were clear as day. She wanted to get close to me, but I did not know what kind of close it was. Was it because of our friendship from 10 years ago, or because of our first meeting today? So I refused. I have to go back and finish my homework. Bye. In the end, None of us went to see the movie. On the way back, Salak asked if I felt anything for the underclassmen. I did not turn my head, only rolling my eyes sideways to look at him. Do you think I am as desperate and lacking in standards as you? Bro is projecting his panic as superiority. Classic. Yeah. You're noble, you're amazing. You are the good older brother everyone loves. Even if you do not become her boyfriend, you still get to be her good brother. You are a well-fed man who does not know a starving man's pain. I was about to retort when a friend request suddenly popped up on my phone. I am Lin Kiwano. The profile picture was an ink wash painting of a mountain range. Half dense black mountains, half light, faded sky. The scenery looked vaguely familiar, but I could not immediately recall where I had seen it. The username was Kiwano. I hesitated, unsure of what to do. Ki Selak pinned my hand down, and Wong Mangosteen reached out a finger and ruthlessly accepted it for me. I will not allow you to decline, you beast.
I disagree too.
I thank you all. You are welcome. A week later, my roommates asked how far things had progressed. I said we had not chatted. I could not be that beast. Well, it was not that we had not chatted at all. We exchanged a few brief messages. Lin Kiwano asked, brother, what are you doing? I replied, getting ready for sleep. Do not disturb, she said, brother. Let me treat you to milk tea. I refused, dieting. Do not disturb. She asked again, brother, do you hate me? I replied, in class. Do not disturb, she asked. Brother, are you playing games? I replied, rushing homework. The do not disturb. Firewall is strong, but the female lead's persistence is stronger. Do not disturb, then. ON day. Salak cursed me out in the group chat. Scumbag, scumbag. The junior is about to cry in her dorm. Can't you just reply to her messages properly? I was completely baffled. How do you know she is about to cry? He tossed a photo into the chat. In it, she was holding her phone with both hands, leaning dejectedly against her bed frame. Her head was slightly bowed, her brows slightly furrowed, the rims of her eyes flushed red, and her eyes were glistening with unshed tears. Her nose was red, and she was pouting, looking distressed and incredibly pitiful, as if she had suffered a monumental grievance. I was stunned by this photo when I rejected her. Was she really staring at her phone, looking this pathetic? Did Lin Kiwano get possessed by someone else? Or is this just what Lin Kiwano is like grown up? Did I remember the book wrong? Or transmigrate into the wrong own? While I was spacing out, Wang Mangosteen tagged me. Scumbag. How could you be so heartless? Lu Feijoa also tagged me scumbag.
Call her right now.
And tell her you love her. Salak explained. Shu Yuzu said, every time little Kiwano gathers the courage to send a message, she waits for your reply cautiously and full of hope. Then the kid visibly wilts, going from full of energy to crestfallen to pitifully aggrieved, looking like she is about to cry. The classic guilt trip the protagonist using his friend's strategy. Flawless execution by the female lead. She is so sweet and obedient. Scumbag. How can you bear to do this to her? My head spun from the barrage of accusations, then urged on by their relentless prodding. I gritted my teeth and replied to Lin Kiwano's message asking me to go for a walk. Binge watching shows. Do not disturb. Yes. I'm just that consistent and iron-hearted. This real yet fake yet real Lin Kiwano is someone I can't afford to provoke. I keep feeling like she is going to snap and go crazy at any moment. I can't hide from her fast enough. Salak and the guys set up another barbecue hangout. I only realized Lin Kiwano and her friends were there after I arrived. Lin Kiwano was sitting timidly on a chair. Seeing me, she immediately stood up, looking flustered and entirely at a loss. Brother. She called out just once, then pursed her lips and fell silent, staring intently at the ground. Salak kept shoving me forward. I was speechless. She is the female lead. The female lead who is supposed to torture me and throw me in jail. Even though I did not bully her when we were kids, and even took good care of her. Who knows if she holds grudges or remembers favors? Who can understand my suffering? Sigh. Even though I knew I should not be fooled by this act of hers, I still could not help but soften. I sat down next to her. Her eyes instantly burst with pleasant surprise. Before the rims gradually turned red, a mist slowly gathered in her eyes, forming into teardrops. And she gazed at me with tear-filled eyes. My heart felt like it had been punched heavily. What sin did I commit in my past life? Brother. A shiver ran through my entire body. This soft, pitiful voice was practically a critical hit. Bro's HP is dropping fast. He is defenseless against the puppy dog eyes.
I will listen to you.
Brother, please do not ignore me. I'm begging you. Staring at me with those misty, innocent eyes, letting out a pleading whisper, it is only normal to soften up, right? On an ordinary day, after an ordinary class, Lin Kiwano suddenly popped up, standing at the classroom door, looking expectantly and cautiously at me. Sitting in the second row near the entrance, she called out, Brother Gufejoa. After speaking, her eyes stayed fixed on me, lowering her gaze and then raising it again, displaying a hint of shyness. She was so sweetly obedient it made Owen's heart ache. The bustling classroom seemed to freeze at that moment, with everyone staring at her. Amidst everyone's envious gazes, I walked up to her. The little girl's eyes brightened visibly, shining like clear stars. I was struck by her cuteness, but it was still within a controllable range. I grabbed her sleeve and pulled her into the empty classroom next door. "What is wrong? Do you need something?" She kept her head down, scuffing one foot against the floor, her voice very low. "Brother, today is my birthday." She looked up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears and full of hope. "Brother, can you celebrate my birthday with me?"
I softened once again.
Softening every single time is a sickness. It needs to be cured. The first step to recovery is admitting you have a problem. Too bad he is failing step 2, stopping. I immediately pulled out my phone and transferred her $280 for a cake. "Go buy it yourself. Brother has class, be good." I hardened my heart and went back to the classroom. The moment I sat down, Wang Mangosteen elbowed me solidly, hitting my stomach so hard it ached. "You beast!" "Beast." Ki Salak grabbed my face and forced me to look at the classroom door. "Do you see that? You beast." The junior's eyes are red from feeling so wronged. "What did you do to her?" Lu Feijoa quickly packed up my stuff, hung my bag around my neck, yanked me out of my seat and shoved me toward the door. "Go. Comfort the goddess, you beast." Looking disheveled, I once again stood in front of Linky Wano. I tried my best to calm my buzzing brain, smoothed my hair, adjusted the bag slung across my chest, and said, "Let us go. It is okay if brother does not want to. I am used to celebrating my birthday alone anyway. Your brother was violently shoved out here. Do you really think I can go back in?" I walked ahead. "Let us go? How do you want to celebrate your birthday? Did I make brother unhappy?" "No." "Brother, can I hold your hand?" "Do not girlfriends always hold their boyfriend's hands?" I froze. What boyfriend? Has this girl lost her mind? Or did she get a head injury in an accident over these past 10 years? She actually reached out to take my hand. I instantly took a half step back. "Kiddo, we are just regular friends, okay?" The kid tilted her head, looking the picture of innocence. "Brother, are not you a boy? A boy who is a friend is a boyfriend." I was speechless. This is absurd. She is playing dumb, but she knows exactly what she is doing. Master manipulator, I managed to force out 2 awkward dry laughs. What followed was the merry-go-round, cotton candy, the Tagada disco ride, ice cream, and the Ferris wheel. Pity my old bones. When we got out of the taxi, a 4-star hotel stood before us. My brain practically exploded. I worried that my thoughts were too filthy, so I stammered, asking Keikido, "What is the meaning of this?" Lin Kiwano turned to me, looking demure and submissive. "The internet says that once you're 18, you can." She bashfully bit her lower lip, shot me a timid glance, and looked incredibly shy. "Goodbye." I turned around and bolted, diving back into the taxi and screaming at the top of my lungs, "Driver, go, go, bro," hit the panic button so hard he broke it. The survival instinct is real. The driver slammed on the gas, and the car shot far away in an instant. Running for my life was the priority. I sent an incredibly serious message to Lin Kiwano. "Junior, you're still young. Focusing on your studies is the right path. There is no rush to find a boyfriend. I am merely your senior, just a regular senior. If you can't distinguish the boundaries of our relationship, then we should not contact each other anymore." The moment I hit send, she immediately initiated a video call, as if she had been staring at her screen, waiting for my message. In a sheer panic, I declined the call and powered off my phone. This tiny action felt like I had just sprinted 3,000 meters. My heart was pounding frantically, and I was gasping for air. Oh my god, that scared the living daylights out of me. I did not sleep peacefully at all. In my dream, I was still on the Tagada disco ride, trying to save a girl who was being tossed around, until she was dizzy and disoriented. Lin Kiwano wrapped her arms tightly around my neck, a chilling smile on her lips. "Brother, you can't run away." I jolted awake, sitting up abruptly, gasping for breath. That scared me to death. After I calmed down a bit and looked down, I was met with Wang Mangosteen's face full of condemnation. I was utterly confused. "What is wrong?" Wang Mangosteen asked me. "What exactly did you say to Lin Kiwano last night that made her hide under her covers crying in the middle of the night?" Lin Kiwano actually cried. "Who cried? What did the scumbag do to make who cry?" Liu Feijoa leaned in. Kei Salak sat on the opposite bed. "Liu Feijoa, you really are a ruthless killer in the battlefield of love. Helpless." I turned my phone back on. Lin Kiwano had sent several messages. "Brother, I'm sorry for putting you in a difficult position. Brother does not like me, yet I keep forcing myself on you. It really is annoying. But brother, I truly like you. Please do not ignore me." "Brother, are you really gonna ignore me?" I could almost vividly picture Lin Kiwano looking pitiful, sniffing and shedding tears while typing those messages. It seemed my sins truly were grave. So, I replied with a message. I was not I just fell asleep. The moment I sent it, I slapped my own hand. Self-awareness level 100. Willpower level 0. Why do you keep softening up? Lufeijoa stealthily interjected. You can still unsend it. I nodded eagerly. Right. But when I tried to unsend it, it was too late. I must have been possessed by a ghost just now. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Brother, I brought you breakfast. My groggy brain instantly cleared up the moment I woke up. I stared at that line of text, sinking into deep thought. Is this what listening to me looks like? Is this the self-awareness of a regular junior? I looked at K-Salak and said, I'm not going to morning class. Answer the roll call for me. K-Salak turned around with a provocative smirk. Little guy, if you do not go down, we will carry you down. Wang Mosteen and Liu Feijoa silently flashed the OK hand gesture when I hurriedly rushed downstairs. The girl in white standing under the ginkgo tree looked stunningly beautiful. Brother, Lin Kiwano strode over, her smile radiant and sunny. It felt as if all the joy in the entire world could not compare to her happiness in that moment. Besides bringing breakfast in the morning, when she did not have classes, she would accompany me to mine, save seats for me in the library, and occasionally order milk tea or spicy hot pot delivery for me. My roommates constantly praised how considerate the junior was. I was utterly speechless. She asked me to go for walks on the school track, to watch club performances, to see a movie, and to watch their freshman exhibition matches. This kid thoroughly obliterated the boundary between a regular senior and junior. Whenever I questioned it, she would look at me with innocent eyes, cautiously and pitifully saying, Brother, did I do something wrong again? Can't a junior invite a senior to watch a movie? Is taking a walk and chatting not allowed either? We are not even holding hands. The junior is innocent. It is only the senior who demands too much, right? She hit him with the I'm just a girl logic, and it completely paralyzed his defenses. During the National Day Arts performance, she had a group dance and practiced very late tonight. She begged me to pick her up. I figured it really was not safe for a girl alone. So I went. When I reached the dance studio, Lin Kiwano was standing at the door in a black dress, staring at a painting on the opposite wall. The lighting was not very bright. The wall was covered with artworks from art students. At a quick glance, the pitch-black dance studio behind her looked like a monster from an endless void, its maw wide open, as if ready to swallow her whole. Yet, simultaneously, it felt as though she was the master of this monster, baring its fangs and claws, waiting for prey to take the bait. It was incredibly paradoxical. Seeming to notice my gaze, she turned her head and looked right at me with pinpoint precision. Her eyes were sharp, piercing, and cold. My heart skipped a beat, but then Lin Kiwano's eyes curved into crescents, her gaze turning warm and docile, blooming into an innocent, pure smile. Brother. Her voice was soft, sweet, and soothingly gentle. A chill crept up from the soles of my feet, twining around my heart. My heart violently contracted after waving goodbye to her fellow dancers. Lin Kiwano and I walked downstairs together. Then she pulled a rose from behind a flower pot, a cup of milk tea from behind a sculpture, and a box of dessert from behind a vase. The dance studio was on the 3rd floor. The walls of the stairwell were embedded with potted plants, clay figures, and sculpted art pieces cleverly set into niches, creating a unique scenery. The interplay of light and shadow, the harmonious separation of greenery and art. Each was a distinct sight, yet blending together created an entirely different kind of beauty. The first time passing this wall is truly breathtaking. After 3 years, I was used to it, but today every niche held a surprise and anticipation. When we reached the final niche on the 1st floor, my heart was thumping wildly, and I subconsciously held my breath. I, an old man, was actually incredibly eager for a surprise prepared by a girl. It was embarrassing, yet thrilling. There was a feeling of being valued and cared for. Lin Kiwano reached her hand inside and pulled out a red velvet box. My head, previously dizzy with pleasant surprises, instantly cleared. A red velvet box, bro. Thought he was getting proposed to. The ego is astronomical. His absolutely cannot happen. She is only 18. Besides, I should be the one proposing. The box opened. Inside lay a braided red string bracelet with 2 red jadeite beads on it. I wanted to beat my overthinking self to death, brother. Happy birthday. The kid Kasalik, in his pursuit of romance, organized a group outing to watch a romance movie. I am doomed. The thought of watching a movie with Lin Kiwano actually made me a bit excited and a little shy. The movie theater was dim and hazy, illuminated only by the flickering light from the screen, shifting between bright and dark. To avoid disturbing each other, we picked seats that were 8 miles apart. Thankfully, the theater was mostly empty. From where I sat, I could accurately pinpoint Wang Mangosteen on my lower left and K. Salak on my right. Brother, why are not you talking to me? My hand was suddenly violated by hers. I yanked my hand back at lightning speed. Lin Kiwano pursed her lips, her eyes shining bright and moist in the darkness. I drew in a sharp breath of cold air. This soft, innocent look was genuinely too adorable. Brother, when will you let me be your girlfriend? I nervously gulped. You are great, but you're too young. You're only 18. Lin Kiwano suddenly leaned in close, a flash of slyness passing through her eyes. Her warm breath brushed against my ear, sending a tingling numbness through me. I bolted upright instantly, scattering popcorn everywhere with a loud clatter. She looked up at me, her eyes gleaming brightly in the dim light. Her upward gaze inexplicably carried a sense of devotion. She is hitting him with the worshipful gaze combo. It is super effective, but his panic stat is too high. "Hey, you're blocking the view in front." A disgruntled voice called out from behind. I immediately plopped down into the empty seat next to me, staring fixedly at the movie screen without blinking. Lin Kiwano has changed. She is no longer that gloomy, vicious little girl.
I have changed too.
I am no longer naive. "Brother, lift your foot a little." The voice was right next to my ear. I panicked and reflexively pulled my foot back. Looking down, I saw Lin Kiwano curled up under the seat, picking up the popcorn I had spilled. She was holding up the hem of her long skirt, which was already holding quite a pile. I was suddenly reminded of New Year's Eve, the second year of my childhood, when every household went door to door to give greetings and collect candy in red envelopes. I still stuffed my share into her hands. "Happy New Year." She had held up the hem of her clothes just like this, showing a rare smile, her teeth dazzlingly white. Sadly, I never got to spend a third New Year's Eve with her. The image of her lying on that hospital bed flashed in my memory. The flashbacks are hitting hard. The guilt trip is super effective. I silently crouched down to help her pick them up. Softening once means softening every time. Lin Kiwano smiled sweetly, her eyes curving into crescents. "Brother, you are so good to me." Handing out the good guy card so smoothly, I replied, "You are very good too." Back at the dorm, I found an extra red velvet box in my bag. A sticky note was tucked inside the box, with a line of elegant, forceful handwriting. "Brother, do these 2 red jadeite beads look like red beans? A longing carved into the bones, do you know?" A rush of heat shot straight to the top of my head, and my face instantly burned. I slowly opened the box. Inside, 2 red, warm and lustrous stud earrings lay quietly. "What are you holding?" Wang Mangostein's boisterous voice rang out. I snapped the box shut and shoved it into my bag. "Nothing." The 3 guys crowded around trying to snatch it by force. I pulled the box out but hid the note, and then endured a barrage of sarcastic teasing. I could handle it. Lin Kiwano accompanied me to class, and finding a love letter tucked inside my major textbook was something I truly had not anticipated. She held a thin envelope between her index and middle fingers, with a bright red heart drawn on the white cover, along with the words, "Gufe Joa." "Brother, what is this?" Her voice trembled, sounding low and hoarse, her eyes turning red, both expectant and despairing. It was as if she was waiting for me to lie to her, yet also as if she could not change the truth. She looked incredibly fragile. I felt a single small love letter did not warrant this, acting like it was the end of the world, a catastrophic disaster, a life and death parting, or a betrayal and abandonment. To a Yandere in training, a love letter is an act of war. Prepare for battle. It is a love letter. What do you think it is? Luffy Joa, sitting in front, leaned against the edge of our desk and whispered back, "The 9th love letter." The 9th love letter from the math department's genius. I poked his head with my pen. "Shut up, brother. Did you read them all?" Her voice dropped even lower, so low it seemed utterly devoid of emotion. Wang Mangostein leaned over. "He read them and burned them all, these 2 sour, chaos-loving animals." She let out what sounded like a laugh, a very soft sound, as if she were in extreme agony. Looking closely, her eyes were already glimmering with tears. The corners of her eyes flushed red. I really am a monster. An overwhelming surge of guilt born from deep within made my entire body tremble. I had to explain. Lin Kiwano suddenly stood up and walked straight out the side door of the classroom. The teacher on the podium even teased, "Little Own, are not you going to stay with your senior until class ends?" Shocking, even the teacher knew her. The little Own politely replied, "Hello, teacher. Something urgent came up. I can't stay for your class. It is fine. It is fine. Go on." What was with this elder-like affection and tolerance? The female lead halo is radiating so strongly it is affecting the faculty now. For several days straight, Lin Kiwano did not contact me, acting as if she had given up. Her sudden absence around me actually made me a bit uncomfortable. I kept feeling like something was missing. Ki Salak cursed me, saying I just loved being tormented. Wang Mangosteen and Liu Feijoa unanimously cursed me as a scumbag, and told me to go find Lin Kiwano. They even said they had already cleared things up with Lin Kiwano's roommates, who would tell her it was all a misunderstanding. I did not participate in the National Day Arts performance. Acting as if possessed, I put on the red string bracelet, even though I knew the person on stage would not be able to spot someone's hand in the vast sea of people below. I was probably out of my mind, seeing her wearing a little camisole and hot pants shining brilliantly on stage, and hearing the whistles and praises from the guys around me drove me absolutely crazy. I snuck into the backstage area. When she walked in, I threw a trench coat over her head and shoved her into a small changing room. Brother, let me change my clothes first. I could not stay long. The teacher managing the backstage told me to get out. I sent her a message, I'm going to buy you a milk tea. Wait for me. When I returned carrying the milk tea, I saw Lin Kiwano laughing and chatting with a guy. I knew instantly he was the male lead. The book had a sentence describing him, gentle, refined, and elegant, like the spring sun, bringing warmth to those around him without being scorching. Back in class after the holiday, our counselor gave us a few quota spots to go to Jingbei University as exchange students for a year. I held the application form hesitating. Then, I ruthlessly slapped my right hand, twice. Still hesitating. Do you still have some unrealistic fantasies? The male lead is already here. Bro is abandoning ship the second the male lead spawns. Peak self-preservation instinct. I went to the library to read. Suddenly, someone sat across from me. Lin Kiwano stared at me. Brother. This brother sounded vastly different from before. Previously, the ending pitch rose, giving off an innocent, dependent vibe. This time, the words seemed ground out through gritted teeth, the ending pitch dropping heavily, as if I were her mortal enemy. Her eyes were icy, yet her smile was radiant as a flower. Brother is really popular, is not he? Did not you think of me at all these past few days? Looking at her, I felt an inexplicable sense of fear. The sheep's clothing had been torn away, revealing the starving wolf's fangs beneath, not pretending anymore. No. She slowly stood up and reached out to pinch my chin. Every hair on my body stood on end instantly. It was bone-chilling. I also heard brother likes obedient girls. She leaned close to me, her breath smelling of orchids. Damn it, brother. Am I not obedient enough? Why do not you like me? You? You are very obedient. Let go of me first. I grabbed her hand, but her other hand pinched my earlobe, gently tugging at it. My entire body went numb, and I could not exactly just throw her off. She grinned, staring fixedly at me. The grace of a gifted meal should be repaid by pledging own's life. Let me repay you, brother. All right. The final note dropped, carrying a subtle, bubbling rage. The Yandere switch has been officially flipped.
Code red.
Evacuate immediately. I was so shocked, my soul almost flew out of my skull. So she had recognized me from the very beginning. Was she just playing with me? Kid, your brother does not like being toyed with. I will let you off this time. Thank you for sparing my life, brother. Pledging my life to you, I think I need to calm down. On the final deadline, I submitted the application form, packed my things non-stop, and arrived at Jingbei University early. In the past, carriages and horses were slow, and wanting to see someone meant crossing mountains and long roads. Now, when you think of someone, even if Owen is in Huajing and the other in Kunan, they can be very close. Feud forged in the morning. Grave dug by the afternoon. I silently pulled back the foot that had just stepped down Owen's stair. At the bottom, Lin Kiwano was smiling, looking up at me. I sighed and decided to have a proper talk with her. Arriving at a cafe, she obediently held my hand, her smile bright and charming, her beautiful eyes captivating. Long time no see, brother. I replied politely, long time no see. Brother, I stood in such a high place. Did you see me? Lin Kiwano's eyes were moist. When she looked at someone, it felt like a clear spring flowing over stones, refreshing and intimate. I remained silent. Brother, why did not you come looking for me? I shot back. Why should I go looking for you? Her peaceful, calm demeanor fractured slightly, like thin ice cracking on a river's surface, revealing the gloom and madness lurking beneath. Come here, brother. It has been 10 years. Did you ever think of me? When faced with a question you do not want to answer, you can choose to respond with a question. Do you hate me a lot? Why did you lie to me? Watching me get played like a fool by you, he thinks she is out for revenge. She is actually just clinically obsessed. Miscommunication trope at its finest. Was it fun? Lin Kiwano stared intently at me, as if trying to find something on my face. The clarity in her eyes vanished, replaced by abnormal sharpness. This was my first time seeing such a look in a girl's eyes. But then she smiled again. Her rosy lips parted slightly, revealing perfectly straight teeth that looked chillingly white, as if she might pounce and bite me at any moment. Brother, I skipped from freshman year to senior year of high school, crossing the chasm of time to test into Jingbei. But you were not there, so I repeated a year and tested into Kunin. The amount of information in that sentence was massive. What was most shocking was, how did Lin Kiwano know I would test into Jingbei University? The original host did indeed go to Jingbei. I chased you so hard, brother. What kind of chase was this? A hunt to the death? I stared at her warily. What exactly do you want? She looked relaxed. Nothing much. Just repaying brother for the grace of the meals. I scoffed, angry. Repaying me, pretending to be innocent and naive just to toy with me. Is that your repayment? I do not see any gratitude, but your intent for revenge is loud and clear. Brother, do not call me brother. I am not your brother. I can't afford to be your brother. She instantly turned gloomy. Even though nothing visibly changed, I could feel a chilling, sinister wind whipping around Lin Kiwano, icy and terrifying, her gaze bone-piercingly cold. Go back. I am heading back to my dorm. Lin Kiwano did not leave. She just crouched at the school gate. As long as I did not come out, she would not leave. Heavy snow began to fall like goose feathers. The sky grew darker, and it got colder and colder. I even saw someone post on their WeChat moments, seeing an infatuated girl in the dead of winter. If you leave a yandere in the snow, she does not freeze. She just levels up her guilt-trip aura. I cursed myself for being soft-hearted. It really was a terminal disease. I hurried to the school gate. Lin Kiwano practically turned into a snowman, looked up. Her face was flush red, her lips a purplish blue. Yet, she flashed me a triumphant smile. I knew it. The god of soft-heartedness would not ignore me. The moment I got close, she slowly stood up and collapsed right into my arms. Are you feeling sick? Dizzy, I will take you to the hospital. I'm not going. I hastily booked a hotel online and took a taxi to bring her there. Warmed by the heater, Lin Kiwano's face grew even redder, an utterly unnatural flush. I touched her forehead. Boiling hot. You have a fever. I am taking you to the hospital. I'm not going. You will abandon me at the hospital. Helpless, I said, take a hot shower. I will go buy you some cold medicine. Suddenly, a hand grabbed mine. Brother, can I still call you brother? Lin Kiwano's voice was thick with nasal congestion, low and sluggish. She looked at me cautiously. I nodded haphazardly. I took off her down jacket and helped Lin Kiwano remove her shoes. The shoes were soaking wet, nearly frozen solid. Her socks were drenched, and her pant legs were damp. Her feet were icy and pale, almost freezing to the touch. His won't do. Her feet are frozen stiff. Touching hot water like this will cause chilblains. I crouched on the floor and rubbed her feet, simultaneously cursing myself for being a terminal patient of soft-hearted cancer. Ankles, tops of her feet, toes, soles I rubbed until they were red and warm. Right. Go take a shower quickly. I will go. I did not know when she had sat up. Suddenly, she lunged forward, grabbed my face, and kissed me frantically. Plot twist. She was not freezing. She was just charging her ultimate attack. It was not until I was face to face with the soft ceiling light that I abruptly snapped out of it. I violently flipped over, pinning her down and trapping her hands. She stared straight at me. Joa. I like you. I was totally flustered and panicked. Scrambling up clumsily, I said I am going to buy you medicine. She grabbed my sleeve tightly. Will you come back? Lin Kiwano's eyes gave me a fleeting hallucination of her childhood self, cold and unhinged, carrying a viciousness that seemed ready to drag someone to hell with her.
I will.
She slowly let go, looking up at me, the corners of her mouth curling up, her eyes freezing cold.
You would better?
When I left, she was sitting on the floor. When I returned with the medicine, she was still sitting on the floor. I took 2 quick steps to help her up. I counted to 1,571. She stared at me. Joa. If you abandon me again, I will go insane. Avoiding reality was no longer an option. I had thought deeply about my relationship with Lin Kiwano. If during childhood it was out of sympathy, treating her like a little sister who needed taking care of, then at the opening ceremony, from the very first moment I saw her, my feelings had probably begun to change. I did not want to admit I was shallow, but those feelings of sympathy, that soft-heartedness, that anger and jealousy, I really had, just like the original host, fallen in love with her. Since that is the case, why not give it a try and keep going? Side story, Lin Kiwano's perspective. The timing of my rebirth was not exactly ideal, because just now my dad sobered up and could not find any hot water to drink. In a fit of rage, he kicked me to the ground. My knees were scraped, and my forehead smashed into the wall. After a brief spell of dizziness, I realized I had returned to my childhood. I could not believe it. Because a second ago I was admiring his pathetic crying face as he knelt before me, unconsciously. I wandered around, guided by the chaotic memories in my head, still in a daze about why I had walked to Joa's house. I saw a piece of candy. His eyes were filled with sympathy and heartache. Ah, the classic double transmigration rebirth trope. No wonder she is so unhinged. She is playing new game. I was astonished. The green transparent wrapper encased a tiny piece of candy. I had once found on just like it. That third-grade older boy claimed I stole it from him, beating me until my head was broken and bleeding. When I got home, my dad beat me half to death again. Joa was no longer Joa. I held that piece of candy in my hand, remembering that over half the pain in my childhood came from Joa. It was either him bullying me intentionally, or him instigating others to bully me, or him setting me up and shifting the blame. But looking back, ever since I smashed his head with a rock, everything seemed to have changed. He carefully picked up the little cake that fell on the ground, meticulously pinched off the dirty parts, placed it on his boundary wall, and signaled for me to take it. That was the little cake I had desperately wanted to eat in my past life, but never got to taste. The same little cake that Gufejoa from my past life had stomped into mush. Rather than let me pick it up to eat, the little cake that, no matter how I tried to compensate myself when I grew up, always felt like a missing piece in my heart. After 2 lifetimes, I finally got to eat that little cake. It tasted so incredibly good, like the most delicious delicacy on earth. If only I had been reborn a little earlier, I could have truly tasted the whole cake. He started bringing me food, and even though it was just leftovers, I could not bear to eat that candy. I found a medicine bottle to store it, keeping it on me wherever I went. Even after it expired, grew moldy and turned black, I kept it hidden. Nobody knew that was my candy. Gufejoa is so wonderful. He taught me how to grow vegetables, giving me sweet potatoes and eggs. He tutored me with my homework. I am a deceitful person. I deliberately tanked my exams, just so he would give me remedial lessons. I purposely messed up the practice questions too. I really loved seeing him fret over me. Ah yes, weaponized incompetence, the foundational pillar of any healthy toxic romance. Looking all anxious and frustrated. He would even smack me when he got overly mad. This kind of discipline was vastly different from my father's abuse. My dad's beatings were fueled by disgust, by pure hatred and a need to vent his rage. Gufejoa's scoldings and smacks, however, were born of care and disappointment, out of urgency and a genuine desire to see me succeed. Ever since I could remember, nobody had ever cared about me. Whether I lived or died, nobody gave a damn. But now, Gufejoa cared. I was finally someone who mattered to another person. That is why I would not let the teacher read my essay out loud. If he read it, everyone would realize how wonderful Gufejoa is, and they would try to steal him away from me. When he came back from the city, he brought me snap pops and spinning toy tops. He even bought me a new pair of shoes and took me door to door for New Year's greetings. I refused to let Gufejoa's cousin call him brother. Gatekeeping a guy from his own blood relatives, peak Yandere behavior right here. He is my brother, mine alone. But I never got to wear my new shoes. I kept them neatly placed right next to my pillow, planning to wait until the first day of the Lunar New Year to put them on the moment I woke up early in the morning. When I awoke, my dad had thrown the shoes into the stove, leaving behind only the pungent foul stench of melting plastic and charred ashes deep inside the hearth. I did not dare tell Gufejoa. I was afraid it would make him unhappy. My mom was a college student who had been tricked into coming here after giving birth to me. She originally wanted to stay and live a proper life, but my dad constantly beat and verbally abused her, so she quietly ran away. My dad despised families with sons. He wanted to kill all the little boys in the village. He demanded that I trick Gufejoa into coming to our house, planning to bury him alive. I picked up a brick and smashed it right at him. This time, I did not run away. Nothing says character development like upgrading from passive endurance to attempted patricide with masonry. I just wanted to beat him to death and end the nightmare once and for all. But ultimately, I was just too small and weak. I was strung up from the ceiling, yet I still tried everything in my power to kick him, cursing him with every vicious word imaginable. I counted up to 4,372. Right before my consciousness faded, I saw Gufejoa wearing his Spider-Man pajamas, his face full of anxiety and wrath. Then he draped his pajama coat over my body, just like Spider-Man rescuing the suffering me. A person's life is filled with many unforgettable moments. And for me, all of these memorable moments exist solely because of Gufejoa. On New Year's Eve, Gufejoa came to visit me too, bringing new clothes, new shoes, and lucky money. I called his grandfather. Besides warning his grandpa to be careful, I even had Gufejoa get on the line and asked him to pick me up. He answered and said, "Just rest well in the hospital." Famous last words before accidentally triggering a decade-long stalking arc.
I will come pick you up this weekend.
He never came. Even after I finished all the discharge procedures, the weekend passed, Wednesday arrived, and he still had not shown up. I suddenly realized that, to him, I was merely a child. Perhaps I needed to change my image when appearing before him. So I left, waiting until I grew up to find him again. Whenever I missed him, I could not resist calling his house. But his home phone could no longer be reached. It was a disconnected number. I chased across the chasm of time, skipping grades to get into Jingbei University. He was not there. I even swallowed my nausea to attend my father's funeral, asking former neighbors. I found out his whole family had moved to the city, and I also learned he had enrolled at Kunnan University. I stood by the low wall of his old house, returning to the crime scene where the carb stealing started. So poetic. Took a picture of the exact spot where he used to leave candy for me, half of it framing the sky, and the other half capturing the mountain ranges. People harbor obsessions, like a cake never tasted in childhood, a salvaged piece of candy, and that person who felt like a familiar, cherished old book, only by possessing them, can only be healed. Gufejoa, I will always manage to track you down.